Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress. A viewer asked me to make a video about the great Alexander Morozevich, and then I realized that I have made over 200 videos for Chess to Impress and not one of them was about Morozevich. Shame on me. Alexander Sergeyevich Morozevich was born July 18th, 1977. He is a Russian grandmaster from Moscow. A two-time World Championship candidate in the World Championship tournaments of 2005 and 2007, two-time Russian champion, and has represented Russia in 7 Olympiads, winning several team and board medals. His highest ranking was second in the world in July 2008. He is known for his aggressive and unorthodox playing style, and because of this style, which produces relatively few draws, he is very popular among chess fans. Since 2008, Morozevich's rating has declined by about 100 points, but he can still play. In July and August 2017, he played in the Biel Grandmaster Tournament, Biel in Switzerland. It turned out to be the biggest success of her career for the strongest female player in the world, Hu Yifan. You can see video number 213 on my channel for that. But Morozevich played in that tournament as well. In some of the games we saw the Morozevich of the old days. In the second round he played against the #1 Czech player David Navara. Let's have a look at that game. White Navara, black Morozevich played on the 25th of July 2017. d4, knight f6, c4, g6, g3, c5, d5, bishop g7, bishop g2, and Morozevich castled. We're in the fianchetto variation of the Benoni, and Morozevich is one of the few super grandmasters who plays this risky defense at the highest level. Knight f3, e6, knight c3, e takes d5, c takes d5, d6, Navara castled, rook e8, bishop f4, knight a6, and rook e1. Instead of rook e1, you can also play knight d2, and then knight h5 is possible. And after bishop e3, black can bring a spectacular exchange sacrifice. Rook takes e3, f takes e3, which was played in Mamedyarov against Morozevich in 2013. Morozevich won that game. After rook e1, Morozevich played bishop f5, knight h4, kicking the bishop back, but apart from that it is not well placed on h4. Instead of knight h4, Navara could have played knight d2, preparing e2, e4. That's another idea. After knight h4, the bishop went back to d7, e4, and it turns out that this setup with knight h4 and then e4 is not the way to handle this position. Instead of e4, white could have taken that pawn that's unprotected on d6, but then black gets compensation for the pawn. For example, he can play knight g4, and then there's a threat of queen f6, which would attack the bishop, and also the f2 pawn. If the bishop goes back to f4, then it would be g5. Also, after bishop takes c6, there is queen b6, queen going the other way. And then after bishop f4, to save the bishop, there would be c4, followed by knight c5 with compensation for the pawn. In the game, Navara played e4, and Morozevich played a typical move in the Benoni, c5, c4, advancing and freeing up the c5 square for knight a6. Queen d2 from Navara, knight c5, Morozevich goes forward. Now Navara took on d6 and knight d3, and that is a octopus, not a knight, it's an octopus. That's what knights on d3 or e3 are called. Knight f3 from Navara, Bishop f1 might have been a better move to force black to take the exchange. Knight takes e1 and rook takes e1, and white has some compensation. After knight f3, Morozevich played knight g4, which is a lot stronger than taking the exchange. Knight takes e1, rook takes e1. That would be a good deal for white, who now has very nice compensation for the exchange. His pawn center is very strong. So knight g4, played by Morozevich, is much stronger. Rook e2, queen b6, and this is really a dream position for a Benoni player. Bishop f4, that bishop was hanging. You cannot play bishop a3 to keep the b2 pawn protected because of bishop h6 hitting the queen, queen c2, and then you have knight d takes f2. If you take that knight, the other knight takes on f2, and you cannot take with the queen because of bishop e3 winning the queen. So bishop a3 was not possible, and Navara played bishop f4. Morozevich took on b2, winning the pawn back, and we go into an endgame. Queen takes, knight takes, rook c1, knight back to that beautiful square on d3, rook c2, saving the rook, and knight b4. Immediately b5 with the idea of b4 is also strong. Knight b4 is hitting the rook again, rook back to c1, and bishop takes c3. Gives up the strong bishop for the knight for a concrete reason. Rook takes e3, and now black can take on d5, because pawn e4 is pinned. Black has won a pawn. This endgame is hopeless for white, a pawn down and advancing black pawns. So you cannot take the knight because of rook takes e2, and Navara decided to play rook c1. Knight takes f4, g takes f4, the complications are over, and now Morozevich has to show his technique. b5, rook d2, bishop c6, h3, knight f6, rook d6, attacking two pieces, and there's only one way to deal with that. Rook e6 from Morozevich. That rook was taken, f takes, knight d4, rook c8, e5, bishop takes g2, king takes g2, knight d5, and if you now take on b5, then there is knight takes f4 check, king f3, knight d3, rook c3, and a6, and black is winning. Instead of taking on b5, white played king f3, and Morozevich pushed his c-pawn. He's not worried about pawn b5, his c-pawn is strong enough on its own. Navara took, rook c4, and knight takes a7. He's not worried about his a7 pawn either. Knight b4, knight b5, attacking pawn c3 twice. So Morozevich goes forward, c2. That pawn will win the game for him. Knight d6, hitting the rook. Rook c5, knight e4, knight takes a2, knight takes c5, knight takes c1, king e3, and the last move of the game, knight a2, Navara resigned. He can play knight d3, but loses a piece after c1 queen check, knight takes, a piece down. This is a simple win in the endgame for Morozevich. Great win for the great Morozevich, who showed his old strength. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, please leave a comment, and if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.